Hello everyone and welcome back to Election Night in America. Today, we have a full election night. First, President Donald Trump faces off against Vice President Joe Biden. Senator Mitch McConnell and Senator Chuck Schumer battle for control of the U.S. Senate, and Jay Inslee of Washington and Rick Scott of Florida battle for control of the governorships across the country. CNN's prediction has the Democrats winning a resounding victory in the presidential election. MSNBC believes that Joe Biden will win, but it will be a bit more narrow. CBS believes that Joe Biden will win, but it will be somewhat narrow. The New York Times believes Joe Biden will win by a pretty big margin. Fox News believes Donald Trump will win by a convincing margin. So, the first polls are going to close in 1 minute and 17 seconds. Presidential approval, Donald Trump currently has a 40.8% approval rating and a 56% disapproval rating. We will show you some swing state pollings as the first polls are about to close. In Arizona, Joe Biden is up by 2. In Colorado, he enjoys an 8-point lead. In Florida and Michigan, he enjoys 5 and 6-point leads respectively. He leads by 7 in Minnesota and 12 in the state of New Mexico. In North Carolina, he leads by 5, and in Ohio, surprisingly, he leads by 1. In Pennsylvania, he leads by 4, and in Wisconsin, he leads by 5. Donald Trump has leads in other swing states, including Georgia and Iowa, where he leads by 2 and 1, Maine's 2nd congressional district, where he leads by 4, Nebraska's 2nd district, where he leads by 5, South Carolina, where he leads by 5, and Texas, where he leads by 3. The first polls are about to close, so let's get started. It is now 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. Pacific, and the polls have closed in 6 different states. We have some state calls. Out of the state of Vermont, Joe Biden is the projected winner. With 3 electoral votes going into his column, he's going to win an easy victory there. And in the state of Indiana, the home of Vice President Mike Pence, Donald Trump is the winner there. So far, he's leading by a likely margin, but should expand his lead. 8 electoral votes from the state of Kentucky, where Donald Trump is currently enjoying a big lead. Georgia is currently too early to call because it's not close, but only the rural solid red areas have been counted. In the state of South Carolina, 9 electoral votes, 5% of precincts reporting. Donald Trump has an early lead. In the state of Virginia, Joe Biden is currently trailing Donald Trump, but again, most of the liberal leaning regions have not been counted. 19 electoral votes are currently at stake, currently for Donald Trump, whereas 3 are for Joe Biden. Whoa. My bad there. We apologize for that inconvenience. Now there are calls from the Senate. Only one, though. Mark Warner is the winner out of the state of Virginia, defeating his Republican challenger, Daniel Gade, 7% of precincts reporting. In Georgia, in their not special election, David Perdue currently leading John Ossoff. And in their special election, Doug Collins, remember there are 4 candidates, is leading Raphael Warnock. In the state of Kentucky, Amy McGrath looks to unseat Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, currently trailing. In the state of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham currently trailing Jaime Harrison, who is outperforming Joe Biden, but again, still too close to call. This is what our current Senate map looks like, with 36 Democrats and 30 Republicans. We have some gubernatorial calls. From the state of Indiana, Eric Holcomb is the projected winner there, defeating the state Dr. Woody Myers. In Vermont, it's currently too close to call. David Zuckerman trailing Phil Scott, but again, he has a chance to catch up. Currently, 20 Democrats and 20 Republican governors. We have 3 states, polls closed, including the swing states of Ohio and North Carolina. Most people believe that Ohio and North Carolina are going to go for Donald Trump, but the polls suggest otherwise. We have some state calls, starting in the state of South Carolina, where we have a key race projection. Donald Trump is the winner there, with a quarter of the precincts reporting Donald Trump is going to edge out Joe Biden here. In the state of West Virginia, No surprise from the Mountain State. 5 electoral votes going for Donald Trump. Biden only getting 35% of the vote. In the state of North Carolina, Donald Trump is the projected winner. Donald Trump is currently leading Joe Biden. At the state of Ohio, Joe Biden currently trailing Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has so far accumulated 33 electoral votes to Biden's 3. It's still very early, folks, and we will keep you covered all night long. In the Senate, Shelley Moore Capito has been re-elected to her seat, defeating Richard Ojeda. Tom Tillis currently trailing Cal Cunningham, Cunningham outperforming Joe Biden. We currently have 36 Democrats in the Senate and 31 Republicans. We have some gubernatorial calls, where Phil Scott has been re-elected. In Vermont, Phil Scott has been re-elected. 40% of precincts reporting. He's currently edging out David Zuckerman, and it is going to stay that way. Jim Justice is the projected winner out of the state of West Virginia, defeating Ben Salongo, his Democratic challenger. In the state of North Carolina, Roy Cooper is the projected winner. Is currently leading. We expect to project him the winner, but again, an upset is possible in this state. 22 seats for the Republicans, 20 for the Democrats. North Carolina currently too close to call. It's now 8 p.m. and the polls have closed in a variety of states, including the swing states of Florida, Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire. We will start with our state calls. In the state of Virginia, we have a key race projection. Joe Biden is the winner from this state. Out of the state of Maine, their at-large was 2 electoral votes in their 1st congressional district. All safe for Biden, 3 votes for him. Out of the state of Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes going for Biden by a resounding margin. In the state of Connecticut, 7 electoral votes. Joe Biden is the projected winner there. He is also going to carry the state of Rhode Island, their 4 electoral votes. Donald Trump did pass 40%, which is a landmark for Republicans. In the state of New Jersey, where 14 electoral votes are at stake, Donald Trump crossed 40 again, but Joe Biden currently leading him. At the state of Delaware, 3 electoral votes, we have a call for Joe Biden. His home state, he served as senator there. He's going to defeat Trump there. In the state of Maryland, 10 electoral votes going to go for Joe Biden. And as you can see here, Donald Trump did not get 40% of the vote. He said that if he got 40% of the vote in a lot of these New England / Northeastern states, he'd be on track for a resounding electoral college victory. He did that in some states, but not in states like Maryland or Massachusetts. In Washington, D.C., no hope of Trump passing 40 here. He's only at 6% right now there. In the state of Illinois, 20 electoral votes, the crown jewel of the Midwest in terms of electoral votes, and the Democrats are very happy about that, as they are going to carry the state. From the state of Tennessee, Donald Trump is the projected winner now. We are moving on to the Trump calls. In the state of Alabama, where we have 9 electoral votes to give out, Donald Trump is the recipient of those electoral votes. In the state of Mississippi, Donald Trump is the projected winner there with 6 electoral votes at stake. Biden did cross 40% and is looking at a 45% grab there. 7 electoral votes from Oklahoma, one of the reddest states in the country. He's going to win it easily over Biden. In the state of Missouri, Donald Trump is the projected winner there, defeating Joe Biden. In Maine's second congressional district, we apologize for the error. It looks like our graphic designer is messed up. But 1 electoral vote at stake in Maine's 1st district. Donald Trump is currently leading Biden, but Biden believes he has a shot at it. Outside of New Hampshire, Joe Biden currently leading. Some expect this to be close, some did not. Right now, it is pretty close. In the state of Pennsylvania, Joe Biden was born in Scranton, the heart of the steel industry. He is currently enjoying a narrow lead over Donald Trump. He needs to keep it that way if he wants to have any hope of winning the presidency. A critical state to both candidates. It cannot be understated how critical this state and their 20 electoral votes are to both candidates' campaigns. Florida is almost as crucial as Pennsylvania. They have 29 electoral votes at stake, and Donald Trump is enjoying an early lead. This is our current electoral map. 76 electoral votes for Trump, 91 for Biden, but most of the swing states have not been called. We have some Senate calls now in the state of New Hampshire. Jane Shaheen, she ran against Don Bolduc. He ran a pretty weak campaign and could not unseat the popular incumbent. She is outperforming Biden. In the state of Massachusetts, an interesting race here because Joe Kennedy ousted incumbent Senator Ed Markey in a primary, then moved on to defeat Shiva Ayyadurai in the general election. In the state of Rhode Island, Jack Reed is the projected winner there, defeating Alan Waters. In New Jersey, Cory Booker is the projected winner there. He ran a presidential campaign, and he has defeated Rick Mehta. Out of the state of Delaware, Chris Coons has been reelected to the U.S. Senate, defeating Lauren Witzke, a far right-wing challenger. In the state of Illinois, Dick Durbin has been reelected to the U.S. Senate, defeating former Democrat Mark Curran. A lot of third-party voting there. We have some bad news for the Democrats. Kentucky, Mitch McConnell has been reelected to the U.S. Senate. And out of the state of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham has been reelected to the U.S. Senate. Some of the most unpopular Republicans with Democrats have been reelected to the U.S. Senate. In South Carolina, as you can see here, he is edging out Jaime Harrison. Now, for some more expected calls, Tennessee, Bill Hagerty is the projected winner there, defeating James McAllister. In Mississippi, Cindy Hyde-Smith is edging out Mike Espy, although Espy could be looking at grabbing 45% of the vote, which would be a good improvement for the Democratic Party. In the state of Oklahoma, Jim Inhofe defeats Abby Broyles in his Senate race. In Maine, it's currently too close to call, with Susan Collins trailing Sarah Gideon, but again, we could see this race go to Collins, even though she's currently trailing Gideon. In the state of Alabama, Tommy Tuberville is leading Doug Jones, but again, Doug Jones is the incumbent, so it is pretty close. Currently, there are 42 seats held by the Democrats and 36 for the Republicans. We now have some gubernatorial calls. In the state of Delaware, John Carney has been reelected as their governor, defeating a state senator, Bryant Richardson. As the state of New Hampshire, it's currently too close to call. Chris Sununu is currently leading Andrew Volinsky, his Democratic challenger. And in Missouri, a key race to watch from the governor's standpoint, Nicole Galloway. She's running a very strong campaign and does have a good chance at pulling off the upset. Currently too close to call there. 21 seats for the Democrats, 22 for the Republicans. The polls have closed in Arkansas, but first we do have a call, obviously from Arkansas, as you can see here. Currently, the electoral map, 82 electoral votes for Trump, 91 for Biden. We do have some Senate calls. From the state of Georgia, special Senate election, Doug Collins has defeated Raphael Warnock and Matt Lieberman and Kelly Loeffler. Here, as you can see, Tom Cotton has been reelected to the U.S. Senate, defeating no Democrats ran, but there was a challenger from the left, an independent, Dan Whitfield. Not a very high turnout for the Democrats, so Whitfield only going to receive about 21% of the vote, mostly from progressives. 42 seats held by the Democrats, 38 by the Republicans. We have some gubernatorial calls. First, out of the state of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu is the projected winner there. He has defeated Andrew Volinsky by a likely margin. We have 24 governor seats for the Republicans. They are one away from a tie, 2 away from the majority. And right now, they are on pace for a good night from this, at least in this respect. Oh, sorry. They should be at 23 right now. Our graphic design was messed up. Again, and we have the polls have now closed it's now 9 p.m. The polls have closed in multiple different states. A lot of swing states. Most of the Rust Belt, the upper Rust Belt. Arizona, Colorado, seems to be the biggest swing state, Texas, and some important Senate races to watch, especially for the Democrats, who need to pick up seats at this hour. In New Hampshire, though, for electoral votes, a call for Vice President Biden. He is defeating Donald Trump there. In the state of New York, 1% of precincts reporting, Biden getting 60% of the vote. In Colorado, an early call here. We expected this to be too close to call for a couple minutes before calling for Biden. We're going to call it for Biden right away. But we do have a key race projection for Donald Trump in the state of Ohio. He's going to win that with 51% of the vote. Now moving on to the expected calls. Donald Trump currently enjoys a lead, a big lead in North Dakota. In South Dakota, 3 electoral votes. Donald Trump, the projected winner there. In Nebraska's 1st and 2nd congressional districts, as well as their at-large electoral votes, 4 of their 5 electoral votes that they have to offer Donald Trump the winner. Kansas, interesting Senate race, but not so competitive at the presidential level. In Oklahoma, 7 electoral votes, going to all go for Donald Trump. In the state of Wyoming, 3 electoral votes, very red state, going to go for Donald Trump. Louisiana, 8 electoral votes, our last call for President Trump. Michigan, 46% of the vote for Trump, 49% for Biden. In the state of Wisconsin, Joe Biden currently leading over Donald Trump. And in Minnesota, Donald Trump trailing Joe Biden by a little less than 5 points, more like 4.5. In Nebraska's 2nd district, 1 electoral vote at stake. Joe Biden is currently trailing Trump. Both campaigns believe they can win this sole electoral vote still up for grabs from the Cornhusker state. Out of the state of Texas, currently too close to call. Biden does have a lead, but again, it is expected to at least narrow. In the state of New Mexico, Donald Trump is is currently trailing Joe Biden. In Arizona, Biden currently leading Trump barely. It's going to be very close in Arizona as well as the Upper Rust Belt. We have some Senate calls for the Democrats. Susan Collins is out. She has been replaced with Sarah Gideon, the first flip of the night. But we do have some more calls coming for the Democrats. The polls closed here an hour ago. It is now 8:11, and Sarah Gideon has ousted Susan Collins. First Democratic pickup, and they're very happy to see Collins go. A blue state Republican. She was in a bad position coming in to 2020, and it looks like she is going to have to pack her bags. In the state of Minnesota, Tina Smith is the projected winner there, defeating former Congressman Jason Lewis. In New Mexico, Ben Ray Lujan, the congressman, has defeated Mark Ronchetti, a news reporter. In the state of Alabama, we have a flip for the Republican Party, so each party has flipped 1 seat if you're keeping track at home, but you don't have to because we're doing it right here for you. In Alabama, Tommy Tuberville is the projected winner. He has ousted the incumbent Doug Jones, who won in a special election against a very controversial opponent. He has defeated Jones. In the state of Louisiana, Bill Cassidy is the projected winner there, defeating Antoine Pierce. In South Dakota, Mike Rounds is the projected winner, defeating Dan Allers. In Nebraska, Ben Sass defeating very controversial opponent Chris Janicek, who isn't even not even gonna get 40% of the vote there. In the state of Wyoming, Cynthia Loomis has been elected their next senator. She's going to replace John Barrasso, defeating Jana Ludwig. In the state of Texas, John Cornyn is the projected winner there. An early call from this race, expected it to be too close to call for a while, but he has defeated his challenger, MJ Hagar. In Michigan, John James currently trailing Gary Peters, but this could be a Republican pickup. In the state of Kansas, a possible Democratic pickup, Barbara Bollier leading Chris Kobach, and again a controversial opponent. Kobach has been called racist in a fake voter in a voter suppressionist by many. We expect this race to be very close. In the state of Colorado, Cory Gardner currently trailing former Governor John Hickenlooper. He is expected to lose at the end of the night. In Arizona, we have a special election for a 2-year term. The astronaut Mark Kelly currently leading Martha McSally. This is our current Senate map: 45 seats by the Democrats, 44 for the Republicans. We have some gubernatorial calls now. Roy Cooper has been re-elected actually, as governor of North Carolina. He has defeated his lieutenant governor Dan Forrest. In Missouri, Mike Parson is the projected winner, defeating Nicole Galloway. She ran a very strong campaign, and she is now expected to concede. In the state of North Dakota, Doug Burgum has been re-elected governor, defeating Shelley Lenz. The Republicans have at least gained half the governor's seats, and they are expected to win an easy victory in the state of Utah. So Democrats have basically lost all hope to gain control of the governorships. There were slim hopes for them from the start, but Now it's looking even worse as they couldn't pull off the upset in Missouri. We do have some poll closings though, including the swing states of Iowa and Nevada, and in a critical Senate race, actually, not even very crucial, like critical, maybe this the most important or second most important Senate race from Montana. We have some state calls. New Mexico, key race projection. It was too close to call earlier. Joe Biden has emerged as the winner there. Minnesota, 10 electoral votes. Joe Biden is the projected winner there. In Georgia, however, Donald Trump is going to hold on to that state. Some models had him losing there, but again, not looking like he is going to be able to pull this one off. In Maine, 2nd District, 1 electoral vote. Donald Trump, the winner. In Nebraska, 2nd District, the other congressional district has been called for President Trump. President Trump is also going to carry the state of Montana in their 3 electoral votes. He is going to defeat Biden there. Biden getting 40% of the vote. Good sign for the Democrats. Obviously, they were not expecting to win Montana at the presidential level, but if he can get 40% of the vote, hopefully he can propel their Senate candidate and their governor candidate to victory. In Utah, Donald Trump, the projected winner there. And in Iowa, it's currently too close to call between him and Biden, but he does have a lead. In Nevada, Biden enjoys a lead. Currently 144 electoral votes for Biden, 154 for Trump. Please do stay tuned, and we'll be continuing coverage after the commercial break. We now have some Senate calls. From the state of Colorado, John Hickenlooper has defeated incumbent Cory Gardner. As you can see here, and in Michigan, another key race projection. Other than Alabama, this is the best opportunity for the Republicans to flip a seat in the Senate. Gary Peters is the incumbent from Michigan. John James could not pull it off. A lot of Republicans had hope for the aspiring politician, but unfortunately for the Republicans, not able to pull off the upset in Michigan. Gary Peters has been reelected to the U.S. Senate, but David Perdue, a key race projection. He defeated John Ossoff. In Iowa, now some too close to call. Teresa Greenfield currently is outperforming Vice President Biden by around 5 points and leading JONI. That'll be very interesting if she can flip that seat. In Montana, a critical spot for both parties to hold on to. The Democrats are running the popular governor against a popular senator. Although Bullock does have a lead in the polls, most expect Daines to hold on to the seat. We'll see how it turns out at the end of the night. Currently, the Democrats have 47 seats, and they're winning in everywhere they need to be winning. They've won in Colorado, they won in Michigan, they've won in Maine, and they currently have leads in Arizona, in Kansas, and Iowa. We have some gubernatorial calls. From the state of Utah, John Huntsman defeating Chris Peterson. In Montana, probably the most contested governor's race of the night, Greg Gianforte, the former at-large congressman for Montana's at-large district, running against Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney, who has been endorsed by the popular Governor Bullock. 22 non-electoral votes, governorships for the Democrats, 26 for the Republicans. The polls have closed on the West Coast and Idaho, but not Alaska. We have some state calls. From the state of Michigan, a key race projection for Vice President Biden. In the state of Nevada, Vice President Biden is going to carry that state by a lean margin. Over in California, one of the blue states in the nation, Joe Biden getting 60% of the vote there. And in Hawaii, he getting 65% of the vote. Actually 61, but we expect him to get to 65 by the end of the night. The state of Oregon, Donald Trump is currently trailing Joe Biden, but he has crossed 40, which is a good sign for him. In the state of Washington, Donald Trump not going to cross 40, but he came close. In the state of Idaho, Donald Trump is going to win their 4 electoral votes. 244 electoral votes for Biden and 158 for Trump. Biden needs to win some swing states, but all the yellow states on your map were won by Trump in 2016, so certainly do not count the president out. Senate calls. Mark Kelly is the lucky recipient of Arizona's Senate seat. Just kidding, he won it fair and square over Martha McSally. In Oregon, Jeff Markley is the projected winner over conspiracy theorist Joe Ray Perkins. In Idaho, Jim Risk is The winner, he defeats Paula Jordan, who ran for governor in 2018, got a lot of media attention, but couldn't pull it off, and she's not going to be able to pull off the upset again in 2020. Currently, the Democrats have 49 Senate seats. They need to win one more seat on your screen, and the Republicans have 46. We have some gubernatorial calls. In the state of Washington, Jay Inslee is the projected winner there. He defeats Tim Eyman. 23 seats for the for the Democrats, 26 for the Republicans. The one pure toss-up race has yet to be called, where Mike Cooney, who is the current lieutenant governor, leads Greg Gianforte, but it could go either way. In the state of Alaska, the polls have closed. We do have some state calls. First, from the state of Arizona, Joe Biden is the projected winner, defeating Donald Trump in the swing state. It's another flip for the Democratic Party. And with this win in Arizona, we can project that Joe Biden has been elected the 46th president of the United States of America. He's also going to win in the state of Florida, 29 electoral votes. They have to offer 29 electoral votes. Biden is the winner there. And in Pennsylvania, he is going to be the lucky recipient of 20 electoral votes over Donald Trump. In Texas, Donald Trump has defeated Joe Biden. He's going to get 52.5% of the vote. In the state of Alaska, Donald Trump is also going to be the winner there, defeating defeating Joe Biden. But Joe Biden has, he is well past 270. He is expected to give his victory speech shortly. Actually, he's at his campaign headquarters in Philadelphia. He is, it looks like he is about to trot out and speak to the very happy crowd. Meanwhile, at the Trump headquarters, very silent, but Donald Trump says he's not going to concede anytime soon, and they have not given up hope yet. In the Senate, North Carolina, Cal Cunningham is the projected winner there. With this victory, in Kansas, Barbara Bollier has also defeated Chris Kobach, an upset in Kansas. And with this victory, the Democrats have stolen control of the Senate from the Republican Party. They are going to be winning in the Senate here. And in the state of Alaska, Dan Sullivan leading Dr. Al Gross. Not many saw this race being close, but Al Gross certainly, a lot of people slept on him, and he's making it close. But again, Sullivan does have the lead. Currently 51 seats for the Republicans, 51 seats for the Democrats, 46 for the Republicans, 3 remain too close to call. Democrats have the lead in one of them, that is Montana, and the other 2, the Republicans, have the lead. And the last gubernatorial call of the night, Mike Cooney is the projected winner. He has defeated Greg Gianforte. Gianforte was a rather controversial candidate because of his scandals, which include body slamming a reporter. Yeah, he is currently, it looks like he's going to lose to Mike Cooney, and he is about to concede at the Gianforte campaign headquarters in Helena, Montana. 24 seats for the Democrats, 26 for the Republicans. We have some state calls at 2:52 a.m. Joe Biden has won the state of Wisconsin. This is probably the least solid Rust Belt state for him, but he's going to carry it, it looks like, over Donald Trump. In the state of Iowa, Donald Trump has defeated Joe Biden there, the last state call of the night, or the evening, I should say, but it is nighttime. 333 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 205 for Donald Trump. Joe Biden, all the major networks have called it for him, but Trump has yet to concede. The Senate calls. Montana is our last call for the Democratic Party. As you can see, in Alaska, Dan Sullivan has held off formidable challenger Al Gross, now receiving 50% of the vote. Another close race for Sullivan. He narrowly edged out Al Gross he narrowly edged out Mark Begich in 2014, and he's going to narrowly edge out Al Gross. In the state of Iowa, JONI ERNST is the projected winner there, defeating formidable challenger Teresa Greenfield. 52 seats for the Democrats, 48 for the Republican Party. They have control of the Senate, as you can see. This is our final Senate map. As you can see, the Democrats now, what's so interesting about this is they have 2 seats in all across the West Coast. They have 2 seats in Nevada, 2 seats in Colorado after flipping Cory Gardner's seat. They flipped Martha McSally's seats. Now they have 2 seats in Arizona. In Montana, they have 2 seats because they flipped Steve Daines' seat. They currently the purple states indicate that 1 seat is held by a Democrat, 1 seat is held by a Republican. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you so much, and if you're able to make the instant premiere, it really does mean the world to me. I know I'm saying that a lot, but if you enjoyed this full election night, please do like and subscribe. This was 320 slides, took me a while to make, so I hope that you do hit the like button or dislike it if you want to be a negative person. But hey, I don't mind. I like getting dislikes, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. I would really appreciate it. That's all I can ask for, and I'll see you all later. Bye.